Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank you for attending the first of our Spatial IQ for MapGeo educational webinar this fiscal year. As many of you know, we've been hosting these webinars on topics that we feel are of interest to local governments with the aim of increasing your spatial IQ. And we have some really interesting webinars planned for the year ahead. But if you have any topics that you'd like us to cover, please definitely reach out and let us know. So today we're going to have a conversation about MapGeo integrations. MapGeo has grown significantly in the last 3 years, and several of you have been taking advantage of the many integrations that are possible. We're going to explore some of them today, and we hope that you all can take advantage of these integrations and implement them on your own MapGeo sites. So you're probably familiar with all of us by now, but let's do some quick introductions of today's presenters. I'm Michelle. I'm a principal at MapGeo. I'm also a senior project manager. I have been working at MapGeo for over 13 years now, and I have worked with many of you on different GIS implementation projects and your MapGeo projects and all sorts of stuff. And I also manage our Spatial IQ for MapGeo program. So I'm going to turn it over next to Priya and Maggie to introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. I work with a lot of you. As you know, I'm a project manager as well at MapGeo. I've been with MapGeo for over 12 years now, and I've been working closely with Michelle and Maggie on Spatial IQ and MapGeo projects. Very excited to be here today, and we figured we'd turn our cameras on so all of you can see us because it's been such a long time. And really excited to talk to you about the integrations into MapGeo today. Maggie?
Yep, hi, I'm Maggie Busick. I've worked at MapGeo for about 2 years. I'm a product success engineer, and I've worked with a lot of you on MapGeo requests before, so I'm just excited to continue working with you in the future.
Thank you, Priya and Maggie. We also have Aaron Doucette. He is our MapGeo webinar guru, and he's helping us out behind the scenes, so thank you, Aaron. All right, so this is a brief overview of what we'll be covering in this presentation. First, I'm going to give you a quick reminder of what Spatial IQ for MapGeo is, and then get right into all the great examples of the integrations, finishing up with how they can be implemented. But before we get started, I'd like to go over some logistics. So currently, you are all in listen-only mode, and if you have any questions during the presentation, please just put them in the questions box that's located in your GoToWebinar control panel. We're going to monitor those as we go, and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. We hope to get through all of the questions because I know you're all going to ask lots of good questions. If we don't get through all of them, we'll make sure we send a follow-up email with answers to all the questions. The webinar is being recorded, so we'll share the recording along with the slide deck for you to review or share with your colleagues. And if you don't already know about it, you can always visit the Spatial IQ user group webpage to view the past webinars and recordings. The URL is shown on the bottom of this slide. So first, I'm going to give you a little refresher on the Spatial IQ for MapGeo program. Spatial IQ is a managed services program designed to help you make the most of your MapGeo subscription. And throughout the year, we can help you strategize to advance your GIS, expand your use and benefits, and help you get executive buy-in. And we can just simply get work done for you. We challenge you to stretch the limits of MapGeo and to get more information out to your staff and the public. So the Spatial IQ program helps you keep your foundational geospatial data up to date. For example, your parcels and your zoning data are examples of foundational data. It also provides you help desk support if you need it, and allows you to access your GIS data files for easy sharing with the downloadable data feature in MapGeo. Spatial IQ enhances the value of your MapGeo site because we can also add in overlay themes each year that we add that are often based on an interesting analysis that we do. And we also help you plan strategically to grow and maintain your GIS program and see a return on your investment. Not to mention, this quarterly educational webinar series is also included. Also, many of you choose to obtain additional special services from us as part of your annual Spatial IQ subscription. So for example, with those additional special services, we might maintain additional data for you or develop new data sets for you as needed. For instance, we could create some utility systems data or other infrastructure or address points. You might also get our help with integrating Esri technology. For example, we could help with implementing ArcGIS online maps and apps or setting up an Esri enterprise GIS system. And we can also help you see your municipality in a different light by adding new map overlay themes and various types of integrations, which I hope you'll be inspired to consider implementing after today's presentation. So let's go ahead and talk about these MapGeo integrations. All of you are familiar with the variety of business systems and departments that are at the core of local government management. So we're going to talk about how we support integrations for some of those today. But first, I'm going to throw it over to Maggie to explain the different kinds of integrations. Maggie?
Sure, Michelle. So it really depends on the business system. We offer both link-based integrations and in-app integrations. So in-app integrations are integrations that actually appear within MapGeo itself as some sort of widget. And then we also have the link-based integrations that appear as links on either features or parcels in MapGeo, and that will either send a user out of MapGeo to another platform or link to digital documents hosted by AppGeo.
Thanks, Maggie. It's my understanding that we, in MapGeo, we have a lot more link-based integrations than in-app integrations. Can you explain why that might be?
Yep, that's right. So our goal with MapGeo is always to make it as customizable as possible for our clients. So we don't want to have just a one-size-fits-all solution of specific in-app integrations as the only thing we offer. Therefore, the majority of our integrations are link-based integrations, so we can be very flexible and make them compatible with whatever vendors or business systems our clients are working with. Just to get into some examples, permitting is one of our most popular integrations because there are just so many different types of permitting applications. Michelle, I know that you worked with Stockton to get their permitting software Accela set up on MapGeo. Could you tell us a little bit about how they use it and how that integration came about?
Yeah, I certainly can. Well, the story is that several years ago, this is Stockton, California. Stockton had a custom-built desktop GIS application called Landmaster. It was installed on all their internal users' machines throughout the city, so there was a lot of installations. It had a ton of information that was being pulled in through local database pulls on their network. Stockton then transitioned from Landmaster to MapGeo, which is a cloud-based solution. And around the same time, they started an implementation of Accela for permitting, which is another cloud solution. This is how the idea of the integration of Accela with MapGeo was born, because Stockton wanted to provide their users with a similar one-stop shop type of experience that they had had with Landmaster software. They also wanted to see their permitting information in the context of other property information, such as the layers that they had in MapGeo. And so because of this integration, now their users are able to see the authoritative property permitting information while investigating properties within MapGeo.
Great, and then I understand you were also instrumental in implementing a link-based integration for West Hartford, Connecticut. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Happy to. West Hartford is a really great example of link-based integrations. So one of the many examples is their City View permits integration. When I realized that the town had the City View's public portal to view their property permits, and I also noticed that the portal's URL had property information embedded in it, I knew we could set up that link in MapGeo. So it's actually an easy implementation. How it works is when a property is selected on MapGeo, the link to City View permit opens in another tab, and it displays the permits associated with that selected property. And including these types of integrations on a MapGeo site also ensures that more use of these other systems like City View and makes them more accessible to users.
Great, so those are just two really good examples, but since there are so many different types of permitting, zoning, and code vendors, MapGeo links out to a lot of others, including Viewpoint Cloud. We're currently working with Encode and Permitize on integrations as well. The Zoning Hub integration in North Andover links out to details about what zone the selected property falls in, including details such as example setbacks, allowable land uses, and dimensional standards. And I'd just like to add that if any of you have permitting portals online, and this linking feature is of interest to you, please reach out to the MapGeo team and we'll see if setting up a link with your specific vendor is possible. So in addition to permitting, CAMA integrations are another one of our big use cases for integrations on MapGeo. I'm going to bring Priya into the conversation and we're going to talk to her a little bit about CAMA integrations. Priya?
Thanks, Maggie. So CAMA, as all of you know here, is the core of MapGeo property information. So, all the property-based queries or searches that you do are based on the CAMA data provided to us by the client or the municipality. This gives us a lot of opportunities to explore this data and how to sort of integrate the CAMA into MapGeo. And of course, the list, as you can imagine, can be pretty long. Just to give you some examples, there's of course the now nearly universal link to the property record card. This could be something that we host. It could be going out to Vision or Patriot or in any vendor that has their own property record cards. There's the CAMA uploader for keeping your data up to date. There are also advanced searches and detailed property information that's being pulled directly from your on-site CAMA database. And that can include photos and sketches. So Maggie, let's talk about the photos and sketches linking. I think a lot of our clients do that, but they're going to share the Belfast, Maine use case with us.
Yep, that's right. Belfast is a really great example of the ways in which you can display photos and sketches on MapGeo. So as I'm sure many of you are aware, one of our default integrations with MapGeo is Google Street View. But Belfast, like some of our other clients, is a pretty rural town and it doesn't necessarily have its Google Street View images updated on a regular basis. Therefore, they wanted to be able to display up-to-date photos of properties as well as sketches of those properties on MapGeo. So now we host those images of the sketches and properties, and we can update them whenever the town sends us a new batch. We just host them on our cloud and serve it right up to MapGeo. So Priya, as you mentioned earlier, all of the queries and searches on MapGeo are based on CAMA data. Can you share with us how clients can use the advanced search feature to query a variety of CAMA fields on MapGeo?
So I'm going to talk about Manchester by the Sea. They are a client that uses advanced search pretty extensively. So Manchester actually was sort of the driving force behind getting advanced search incorporated into MapGeo. They had a custom website that we built for them many years ago, and it had a pretty robust advanced search. Advanced search functionality. And the town actually held off on switching to MapGeo for a long time till we had implemented it in MapGeo. And then once we had, they were on board. The town used this for many years, and once we started using it in MapGeo, everybody was on board. So it's a perfect way to answer questions that you might have of your data. How many single-family homes are in the town and where are they located? How many properties are over a certain size, say 5 acres, and where are they located? This advanced search can help you answer questions like this, and you can also combine the searches to narrow down your results if you're interested. It's really been useful to planners to see the zoning changes, to identify areas for potential development, and for assessors to identify comparable properties and confirm neighborhood codes. As the assessor in Manchester says, she used to use it a lot with the custom website, but now, everybody else on staff was using it more. So it's pretty useful. And if you haven't given it a try or haven't implemented it, reach out to us and we can set that up for you. Other than searching and viewing properties that you've queried on, you can also visualize your CAMA data. So, actually displaying it on the map. So Maggie, can you tell us what your experience has been as far as requests that we've got from clients to visualize their CAMA data?
Sure. So yeah, we have a couple of examples. North Attleboro and Milford, Massachusetts both came to us with requests to visualize some of their CAMA data in order to support development in town and assist their assessing department. So the first example you'll see on this slide here is from Milford, Massachusetts, and they've actually visualized the neighborhood code data from their CAMA table. And this theme is actually especially helpful because it's tied to their CAMA uploader. So it's updated on a nightly basis with the rest of their CAMA data. So it's always reflecting any live changes that are happening in their CAMA. The second example is North Attleboro, Massachusetts, and it displays information that might be relevant to people like developers in town as it is over their qualified opportunity zone. We visualize their CAMA on a variety of fields here: price range, last sale year, and land use description. So really any data that's in your CAMA table that is something that you want to visualize, reach out to us and we can work on turning it into a theme. Again, also this can be tied to your CAMA uploader, so it's always displaying live data. So while CAMA is a single database and parcels can be associated with that, they can also be linked out to multiple documents, and this leads us to talking about document linking and integration. So of course we have our in-house integration of MapGeo Docs, which is a location-based document management system, but MapGeo can really link out to any digital document that's hosted either on our servers or elsewhere that we can link out to. So Priya, could you tell us a little bit about MapGeo Docs implementations?
Yeah, so MapGeo Docs, as many of you know, is our fully integrated document management system, fully integrated into MapGeo. The city of Gloucester, Massachusetts has, for many years been a champion of MapGeo Docs. And the story goes that the archive room in, I don't know if it was a DPW or town hall, is next to the boiler room. And our client at Gloucester would joke that the boiler will go and they'd lose all their historic documents. So they digitized all their hard copy documents because they wanted to get rid of them, of course. And they also realized that contractors, field crews, the public, they were all interested in the documents. So by adding over 40,000 documents to MapGeo Docs, we provided them with a tool to not only search for documents based on addresses or a street or by a buffer area on the map. We also provided we could also provide an accompanying map with other relevant information about the property. So MapGeo Docs has really been a successful implementation for Gloucester, and they've made all these documents available, with a spatial search. So it's been great.
Great. Yeah, I love that little anecdote from Gloucester. So what about link-based integrations for document management systems? Do we have any of those, Priya?
So a few. So North Andover, Massachusetts is another town, kind of like West Hartford, which has, they wanted as many links as they could possibly have. And luckily, they purchased Laserfish for their document management system, which is a pretty popular document management system out there. And again, just like City View Permitting, we could link out directly to Laserfish. So when you've selected a property, you click on it, and there's a link which takes you right to Laserfish and to that specific property and gives you all the documents that are associated with that property. So that's been a pretty successful implementation for North Andover. Similarly, we are also working with Salem, New Hampshire, and they have another vendor called DocuWare, and that's another portal that they are linking out to. So we're working with them on that implementation right now. Of course, another example of linking documents in MapGeo is linking the documents that we host. So Maggie's going to talk to us. I think Maggie, Chelmsford, and Cromwell, what are they doing and how are they linking documents?
Yeah, sure. So the examples that we've discussed thus far are really parcel-based documents, but it is important to point out that you are actually able to link out to documents associated with all types of features on MapGeo. So for instance, Cromwell, Connecticut links out to documents associated with their sewer lateral cards that are hosted by us at MapGeo. And then Chelmsford, Massachusetts is another great example. That's the GIF that you're seeing on your screen now. They have a DPW app that is actually only accessible by town employees, and that links out to different documents associated with their sewer features, such as built and contracts, but they really wanted these documents to be more accessible to the public. So we have actually configured their sewer theme to link out to documents through the pop-up functionality. So if you click on any of the features on the sewer theme here, whether it's a line or a manhole, it'll bring up a pop-up with some attribute data associated with that feature, as well as a link out to any associated documents, such as the as-built-in contracts that I mentioned. So this is really helpful to Chelmsford because it's actually gotten information and documents that they previously were having citizens call in for out onto MapGeo, and just relieve them of having to deal with those document requests.
Thanks, Maggie. As you can see, this, the amount of opportunities to do linking in MapGeo are pretty extensive. This kind of brings us to our final area of integration, probably one of the most important, and that is access to imagery. Imagery, as again, all of you know, is key to so much of the decision making that so many of you use in local government. I would say pretty much all the departments in town, assessors, planners, building departments, conservation agents, probably everybody is using imagery. It's convenient in MapGeo to toggle on and off overlay themes over the imagery to get additional context. And as one of our clients who has a drone program does, he's added the drone imagery on, as he flies it, and then you can see new developments. So we sort of add on the drone imagery to MapGeo for him. MapGeo has a variety of ways that you can see the imagery. There's of course the orthos, there's street view, there's oblique. And while Google is the primary integration into MapGeo, and it's sort of included in MapGeo, client-supplied imagery can also be used. So if you have your own imagery, we can tile it out for you, and we can host it or link it to a hosted tile service. All those options are available. We're also more and more linking third-party hosted imagery. So, for example, this image on the top there shows you several of our clients have purchased Nearmap, and we have added the years of Nearmap imagery that they have access to. So, that can be, every year can be added on. And finally, of course, our in-app integration for imagery is the Pictometry oblique imagery integration. Maggie's going to talk a little bit about that, but I also just want to quickly point out that, and I hope all of you know this, but depending on what part of town it is, and if there's imagery, you can also turn on the obliques in Google. While it's not as effective and as Pictometry, this at least gives you a little bit of an angle view of the imagery. So Maggie, can you share the Pictometry integration? And I think that'll be a great story to end with.
Yeah, sure thing. So Carson City was actually very instrumental in the development of this Pictometry widget. They're the GIF example you see on your screen. And they had been really heavily using the Pictometry platform for some of the use cases that Priya mentioned, as well as things like emergency management within their fire department. But they were finding themselves switching back and forth a lot between the MapGeo platform and the Pictometry platform, and that was really slowing down their workflows. So that led us to develop this Pictometry widget within MapGeo, in which users can actually utilize the full functionality of Pictometry within just a widget on MapGeo itself. With the widget, a logged in user can now select a property, open up the preview panel, click on the Eagle View button, and it will bring you to the Pictometry widget and open to that selected parcel within that oblique imagery. So just has really made life easier at Carson City because they're not flipping back and forth between those two platforms so much. So that's it from us, folks. I want to let Michelle wrap it up with you all and tell you about ways you can actually implement these integrations. Thanks.
Great job. Thank you, Maggie and Priya, very much. So at this point, you might all be wondering, well, how can I implement one of these types of integrations on my MapGeo site? So the first place to start is to share your ideas with us. If you have something in mind that is of interest to you, please contact us and let's discuss getting it set up. If you don't have any ideas of your own, we typically tend to proactively provide some ideas to you. And typically that's during your strategic planning session or as ad hoc as we think of them. And to be blunt, usually at the end of the fiscal year when you realize you haven't spent your full GIS budget yet, that topic usually comes up. So if you do have a system that you want to try to integrate with, we can work with you and your other vendors to see what's possible. And we can also consider new integrations that we've never done before too. So definitely feel free to just check in. You can have us do any of this work using your Spatial IQ special services budget. And if that's how you'd like to spend it, we're happy to do that for you. So in summary, there's multiple ways to integrate business systems, data, and documents in MapGeo, and many communities are already doing this, and there are a lot of great ideas out there. And we challenge you to stretch your MapGeo implementation and get that extra value out of it. And of course, we're here to help, so we can help you answer any questions, we can help you brainstorm ideas. We just love to help you solve problems. So, most of all, we're here to help you raise your spatial IQ. And that concludes our presentation. So we're going to switch it over to some questions from the audience now.
Yeah, please feel free to put them into the question box on your GoToWebinar panel.
Right. And I guess we could turn our cameras back on now that we're just answering questions.
So I'll throw in while we're waiting for the first question to come in here that if you're interested in the Pictometry EagleView implementation in particular, we have a couple great recorded webinars with Chalky Pedersen from EagleView talking a bit more in depth about that integration, and you can find those on our website.
Good idea, Aaron. Thank you for that. All right, so it looks like we have the first question in. It seems like you can configure links in MapGeo in many different places. Can you explain what the options are? I'm going to let Maggie take this one.
Yeah, sure. So there's really kind of two main places you can do it. You can either do it in the map or in the property preview panel. And we did have some good examples today. I think slide 19 is a Chelmsford example. Aaron, if you could go there, that would be a great visual for us. So Chelmsford, as I mentioned, is a great example because this shows you where you can have links within the map itself. So using the pop-up functionality, you click on one of the features from their SOAR theme. It pops up with that attribute information, including obviously those links out to those other documents. So that's the in-map example that we're working with. And then the vast majority of the configurations can actually happen in the property preview panel. So I think slide 9, I think had some other good examples of the property preview panel. We'll look at that just so I have a visual for you all. So we can start looking in the top left photo here. Those blue hyperlinks you see are called resource links in your property preview panel. And that's a great place to link out to a variety of platforms that we've talked about today. You can also link out within property attribution itself. So in the bottom right corner of this slide, you can see the SOAR lateral card has a link. So that 0822, it looks like if you click on that, that links out as well. So that's within the property preview panel attribution. Finally, I don't think we have any images of this, but if you turn on a theme, you will have your legend come up and then the theme attribution. So like the source information, the date, all that kind of stuff. And you can actually link out there to share more information in the theme attribution. So tons of different ways you can do it, super configurable as we've obviously showed with this webinar. So.
Great, thanks, Maggie. Our second question is, you showed Belfast's photos and sketches. Do these print from MapGeo or are they only on the left panel when a parcel is selected? Can they print on a page with other information like a property record card? Maggie?
Sure, so there is what's called a little view details button in the preview panel. So if you select a property, it'll open that left side preview panel and it has a view details button, and that will have both any of the fields from your CAMA that we've configured and some of the images or sketches if you have that set up like Belfast Main does. And that's a really easily printable version. So there will be a print button on that view details section. You can print that out and it'll have all of the property information along with those photos that you're interested in. So it's an easy way to get that information out.
Okay, thank you. The next question, I would love to have the same connection as Pictometry, but I have Nearmap and they now have obliques, etc. Is that possible? I think we'd probably have to learn a little bit more about what Nearmap offers for their integrations. We don't currently have a Nearmap in-app integration, but as you saw in one of the earlier slides, we can show the Nearmap imagery as themes. And I think we would just need to talk more about the obliques and what they provide for access to those obliques. Alrighty, next up, do you have a list somewhere of all the different ideas for integrations that you've set up that we could take a look at for ideas? Priya?
Oh, we really want to have this list, and we actually started compiling it, and I think this webinar was sort of the impetus to put that list together. So it's ongoing, and as soon as it's ready, we hope to share it with all of you.
Okay. And it looks like this might be the last question. How do we know if we have a special services budget to use for doing stuff like this to our MapGeo site?
So you can check your, the code that we provide you at the beginning of the year, what you've signed off for the fiscal year. If there's a line item for special services budget, and whatever it is, we charge it on a time and materials basis. So if you don't have any regular tasks that have been set up for this, you can always use it for that. And like Michelle said during the webinar, it often happens that no tasks come up and you have this budget. So we reach out to you towards the end of the year and say, hey, can we use it for any MapGeo integrations, for any new themes? Is there anything you'd like to do on MapGeo? We've been trying to communicate with you that the program is Spatial IQ for MapGeo. So the idea is, how can you use and extend MapGeo as much as you can using your Spatial IQ budget and the work that we do for you during the Spatial IQ in the Spatial IQ program. So that's how you would use that money. And of course, at any point, if you want to add on to that special services project, we can do that too. So just reach out to your project manager and we can add that budget on and take on any of these integration tasks.
Great, thanks. Well, that about wraps it up. Nice and short and sweet. So we'll give some people some of their day back. And thank you, Priya and Maggie and Aaron. This was great. And thank you everybody for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.